Welcome to Climate Resilience Training Part 2, where we delve into understanding local climate vulnerability. Climate change presents us with far-reaching, long-term, and unequal impacts on individuals, communities, ecosystems, and the economy. In this second training, we equip your core team with the best available climate data and tools that will help shed light on the climate resilience and vulnerabilities within your community. But how exactly is Massachusetts climate changing? And what are the impacts we're facing? The MVP program fosters proactive and resilient solutions backed by the latest climate change science. The 2022 Massachusetts Climate Change Assessment explores how climate is evolving and the most urgent impacts we may confront as a Commonwealth over this century. The assessment evaluates impacts on human health and safety, our natural resources, both public and private assets, and the Massachusetts economy and governance. The assessment includes regional reports and summary materials that provide a local perspective on climate hazards and impacts. GEAR, which stands for Guides for Equitable and Actionable Resilience, is an essential online tool developed specifically to support communities in completing the MVP 2.0 planning process. This application integrates findings from the climate assessment, including the latest climate projections, aiding communities in examining the intersection between climate threats and community systems, like housing and public health. Now, let's delve into GEAR's climate hazards and explore how Massachusetts climate may change in the coming decades. Our average temperatures are rising. It's expected that summers in Massachusetts will start to feel like summers currently feel in southeastern U.S. This shift could affect food production, energy costs, seasonal economies, and the health of people, plants, and wildlife. Densely developed areas may experience more intense heat than less developed ones, creating urban heat islands, and making everyday activities such as waiting for buses and biking to work more challenging.
In the aftermath of the June 2011 tornado and the October snowstorm of that same year, the city of Springfield lost approximately 30% of our tree cover, which has led to an increase in the urban heat island effect. And so we will see significantly increasing temperatures.
Massachusetts is planning for sea levels to rise up to 2.5 feet by 2050 and 4.5 feet by 2070, compared to the present day if global emissions are not significantly reduced. As a consequence, coastal communities are facing increasing flooding risks to homes and businesses, infrastructure, including drinking water, and natural resources. In addition, population shifts may occur over the long term.
The coastal storms that we're seeing are causing the sea level to rise to levels that are not normal. We haven't seen them before. Just this year, our entire shellfish operation at the Little River location was underwater. And this is the town's effort to remediate nitrogen by growing shellfish. So it's a very important asset to the town. We were underwater probably about 4 inches this year, and that was just from the tidal cycles. So even that is becoming more drastic due to climate change. And some of our infrastructure in the shoreline is becoming affected just by stormwater surge during even a slight nor'easter. We do have revetments that are failing across town due to the sea level rise that we're experiencing here in Mashpee. And it's really Cape-wide that other towns are experiencing the same thing.
Massachusetts is predicted to experience extended periods of no rain as rainfall becomes more intense and unpredictable. These droughts can affect the quality and quantity of clean water supplies, reduce crop production, and jeopardize urban tree cover. Though rainy days may become fewer, we expect more annual rainfall due to bigger storms. Such events can cause rivers, streams, and stormwater systems to overflow, leading to flooding with damaging effects on neighborhoods, infrastructures, ecosystems, and human health. Most stormwater systems have been designed for historic rainfall data, so we're already beginning to see these effects today.
For the town of Andover, we've identified our greatest climate risk as inland flooding, and in particular, one major waterway or watershed of concern for us is the Shawsheen. Most vulnerable probably are a couple of more affordable housing units and also senior assisted living centers and one public housing complex that is really in the flooding hot zone, if you will. So the climate risk disproportionately affects people who may already be at a disadvantage for rebuilding and really emerging from an incident unscathed.
My name is Gloria Parkinson. In the beginning years, from 2010 on, there would be damp patches in one corner of this large grassland area, but it would typically totally dry out in the middle of the summer. And now we get to the last several years, and that back part, it's wet all the time. Suddenly the grasslands transitioning into some form of wetland. Just over 2 years ago, we had an invasion of purple loosestrife, which by definition is a highly, highly aggressive wetlands plant, beyond an invasive plant. What we've had to do is work out how to manage this.
Impacts from extreme weather events, such as hurricanes, nor'easters, and microbursts, are projected to become more frequent because storms are more powerful. These storms cause power outages, injuries, fatalities, decreased work capacity, and mental health issues.
Well, we've been confronted by a number of storms over the year, at different times of year. So in the summertime, we deal with rainstorms and heavy thunder and lightning storms. They tend to wash out our roads, flood our streets. Sometimes they impact our culverts. In the wintertime, we deal with the heavy snows, and the same thing. They impact our roads in a lot of ways.
We're seeing shorter time frame events with a larger amount of rainfall. Homeowners are seeing water coming into their basements, which is creating an issue with their homeowners insurance and basically causing them to look elsewhere for properties and other homes.
As we dive deeper into understanding the threats affecting your community, it's time to share the resources and tools you have at your disposal to explore potential solutions and foster resilience in your community. First up, we have GEAR. This tool, designed to complement the MVP 2.0 process, can be revisited throughout your planning journey. Chances are you've already used the community guide and the GEAR tool to identify key voices for your core team. As you reassess your community's resilience priorities, GEAR will prove invaluable in identifying sources of vulnerability and resilience through its data explorations. In Phase 3 of MVP 2.0, GEAR will help you identify ways to take action. Each guide includes a collection of actions to consider, providing inspiration for resilience-building efforts. To foster the exchange of ideas across the Commonwealth, they also contain case studies from past MVP projects. For more insights into how GEAR can assist you in the identification of your community's vulnerabilities to climate change hazards and planning for action, there's a handy how-to video on the GEAR's tool homepage. The GEAR tool employs additional Commonwealth resources as you navigate your community's climate vulnerability. The Resilient Mass Map and Data Center, for instance, features a climate change projections dashboard and a map viewer. The new Climate Change Projections dashboard incorporates the latest climate projections for the Commonwealth, as used in the 2022 Massachusetts Climate Change Assessment. Communities can access the most current temperature and precipitation data by watershed for a specific decade. These replace the 2018 watershed scale climate projections used in the original MVP process. The Resilient Mass Map Viewer focuses on climate hazard information, featuring layers from the Massachusetts Coast Flood Risk Model, or MCFRM, and new statewide land surface temperature data, among others. You can find online trainings that cover how to access and apply MCFRM on the Mass EEA YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/masseea. And then we have the Climate Resilience Design Standards tool, which offers guidance to integrate climate resilience into capital projects in Massachusetts. This tool proves valuable in multiple phases of project planning and development when you're preparing to implement climate resilient projects in the future. It provides a preliminary climate change exposure and risk rating for sea level rise/storm surge, riverine and urban flooding, and extreme heat, based on some basic project site information. Also, based on asset criticality and exposure, it recommends a planning horizon, return period, and projected values or methodologies for applicable design criteria. You can learn more about the tool and how to use it on the Resilient Mass website. It is a requirement component of MVP Action grant applications and many other state grant opportunities, so it is worth getting to know this for multiple reasons.
I think the data that the state has provided, it's a treasure trove, really, of maps that we use to great advantage, really, in our very first project. So identifying the risk of looking at where things were going to be or likely to be in 2070, being able to share that with the community, like that really helps hone the urgency of this work and how vital it is to protecting our community.
In conclusion, remember that not all climate resilience data can be found on a map or in a projection. Even when it can be, it often requires getting out into your community and learning about the lived experience of its members. We encourage you to use the information from these resources and tools and engage community members to interpret and supplement what these data mean for people and places in your community. Taking the time to truly understand the factors contributing to vulnerability and resilience will ensure that your actions address your community's most pressing climate vulnerabilities in an equitable, transformative, and long-lasting way.